Thanks for coming on. You're a couple of months off 40 now, aren't you?
Yeah.
In a positive way. So a lot of men will come in complaining that they're nearly hitting 40, but you've said that you're loving this.
I am. I just think the thing with age, and probably, you're the crossroads you hit at like 39, I think, in your life, and there is a crossroads you hit as a man at this age, I think, and you think, is this it? Are we here? Are we just going to cruise now till the end, or do we keep it going? And do we keep pushing? And not being surrounded by bullshit or taking bullshit becomes more apparent, and that is something that I'm enjoying, should we say, or that's something that I really want to focus more on.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And I think maybe that you could feel that earlier on in your life or not, but for me that seems quite prominent right now. It's hard to sort of go more into detail on it. I don't know if you've experienced that around this age, but that's something that I want to focus on and put energy in, and is me driving force or something. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think your music's becoming more authentic and expressive as you hit this point?
And I think I feel like I always do wear my heart on my sleeve, where I'm chatting to you, where I'm writing a tune, love life, friends, family, whatever. I'm comfortable at being open, whether it's good or bad. Even if it's uncomfortable, I can work through it and all that. I'd say, if we're talking about this latest album, Sunlight in the Shadows, I think this thing we're sort of navigating or figuring out at this crossroads, I think you can hear that in lyrics in this record, talking of life, love, addictions, whatever it may be. I think there's in the way this is a release in talking, whichever topics we go down or touch on or whatever. And I think my music, that's the same for me as well in that, so yeah, it's done in a sort of in a rock and roll way, I guess, but I guess it's kind of a conversation to myself, if that makes sense.
I mean, there are lots of positives, I think, about hitting 40 that maybe culturally we don't talk about.
Yeah, and I don't know, probably the good thing, and I don't know whether it's because you are old now, is 40 old now?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, good, because I'm clinging on to that as well.
I think 40 now isn't 40 when we were kids.
I think that's what I'm trying to say, yeah, because it feels there was a sort of a bracket on that as a kid, as you looking up to a 40-year-old, or it was like, not that they're over the hill, but it's kind of like maybe they can't grow or something, where I feel in this day and age that sort of bracket is not in place.
I mean, I think you've got your culture. I think by the time you hit 40, most blokes kind of feel they know where they are. And like you said at the beginning, you don't tolerate fools in the way you did, and you often feel more secure. I admit, when you're 40, you're not going to turn around and go, actually, I'm going to decide I'm going to go play rugby for England. That ship sailed.
Yeah.
But there's other positives that come with it.
There is, isn't there? Yeah.
And I suppose part of that is, as you described, in how you write your music as you get older than maybe when you did it when you were 20.
Yeah, totally.
I just want to double check that you've subscribed to the show, because it really helps us continue these important conversations. Thanks. Side note then, what's your opinion on all these sort of 90s, 2000s band reunions going on?
I went to Oasis, one of the gigs there, and I absolutely loved it, and I'm a big fan. And I think, that reunion, I think, stands alone, whether because it was so big, but it felt... you can see bands getting back together for nostalgia, and nostalgia's good, and it'll probably do well, you know what I mean? Or you can, but I don't know, for me personally, I don't know, I like to keep moving forward, but I mean, if I was in Oasis, I would have definitely got the band back together. But, but for me, that nostalgia, I love that nostalgia, whether that's because that's my age, that's sort of us as kids. So for me, if that felt refreshing on a nostalgia tip, but I guess there's a conversation to add there on myself with the career thing. A lot of bands do, and I'm not knocking it, is, you have your first albums, you have these anniversaries, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Sometimes I see a lot of that where I'm like, you only split up a year ago and you're back together. Or, you know, you're celebrating a 3-year anniversary. You know, for me, again, is it just a cheap thrill to get a bit of money? And if so, sound. But yeah, because I was asked a couple of these questions recently about certain anniversaries of albums and stuff like that. And I didn't even know, you know, but maybe if the shit really does it, the fan will do the anniversary tour. But, you know, at the minute, I just quite like to keep it going, you know. And those songs and stuff will always be a part of you and within your new era. But I think it's important for me to make new stuff, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think any of your pre-performance habits or even how you write your music has changed as you aged?
You know, with writing and performing, that's. I mean, there's probably been times in, you know, before gigs you have a few bevies or whatever. But in terms of writing, you know, I'm very sort of, I like to, and it doesn't sound sexy when I'm writing, recording. I like it like a 9 to 5. You know what I mean? I like a schedule, regiment. You know, for me, I'd like to get up, do a little workout, go to the studio, finish for dinner, go home, chill. You know, for me, that gets me going. That's exciting because it's like, I know I've got me diary. You know what I mean? So yeah, for me, it's kind of, it doesn't sound sexy, but I like to do it like as if I had a 9 to 5, you know? That just works for me. And I think you get more done. And I think the way I'm wired, it suits me that. And that gives me a thrill, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it just, I don't like dilly-dallying and faffing around. I think there's things for certain moments in your life. And when I'm working, I like it to be, you know, pretty 9 to 5.
Gigs, I assume, are a different measure in terms of energy release. You must be buzzing when you're on stage.
Yeah, that's like, you know, no booze, no love will fulfill that void, you know, but you learn to sort of get used to it, deal with it. And, you know, yeah, like after a gig and that, I'm wiped, you know, because it's like it's when you're doing that for the hour 15, hour and a half, whatever, and you know, it's high energetic. It's the best workout I can do in a way. You know, you come out, you're dripping, you feel like, you know, it's sort of, so I'm pretty sort of zoned out.
Do you ever have to have a specific sort of wind down routine after a gig?
No, probably in the past has been a wind up routine, but we've parked all that now. But it's just, just sort of chill really, mate. And, it's like, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I want to just, when you put all your focus into something, it's like doing a workout for an hour and a half. If you give it all, you know, you're like, you've got this natural high, but at the same time, you're just like, you know.
I can't imagine you finishing a gig then just going, I'm going to have a Horlicks and watch.
You know what? That's where I'm at now, and that's kind of what I can do. There's the other side of that is to get bang on it. And that, but then that's a dangerous game to sort of play, you know what I mean? And we've been down that road and, you know, I'm all right at the minute for that.
So what do you do sort of diet and energy wise to maintain a high energy performance?
Well, I don't like eating, say you got your gig at 9. I probably won't have dinner. I'll probably just have like a big late lunch because I don't really like eating before the gig because I'm bouncing around and that, and you know, my pants are so tight that I want to keep
I have no preference here. I don't. You know, it would look weird in my job if I was wearing that.
Yeah, you know, so I don't know, man. I just try and keep it, you know, on tour I'll hit Nando's quite a lot, something like that. Chicken, rice, salad, and then, you know, maybe a little something after the gig, you know. But yeah, I don't like eating sort of heavy beforehand, yeah.
So what's a standard day on tour look like for you?
You know, there's a lot of people have rituals and this and that and thing and that. I'm simple. Be a Nando's and a sound check. I chill out, get my outfit on, get the tunes blasting. We're on stage. Bosh.
That is not what I expected. Maybe 20 years ago.
No, that's it. There's no, it's like you just buzzing for the gig, you know. That's it. There's no big hoo-ah. Maybe others do all that and have a thing and blah, blah, blah. But let's just you just want to play. Yeah.
Shall we have a look at your bloods?
Go on, mate. Yeah.
So I'll be honest with you. I was expecting or hoping for a much more wild set of red flag results on somebody who had your history.
Really?
Yeah.
So are we in good stead?
Generally, your bloods are pretty good. So everything is effectively in the healthy zone. You've got one or two little markers. So your cholesterol could be like 0.2 better than it should be, but it's not majorly bad. And one of the tests we do is called homocysteine. So homocysteine is an amino acid, and it's broken down by things like vitamin B complex, different types of B vitamins, and they will break it down, reduce it down. Okay. And if you've got high homocysteine, it can, but doesn't have to be, but can be an indicator of like cardiovascular disease. So that's why I did your blood pressure as well.
Right, yeah.
Because if you had things like high blood sugar, or maybe impaired blood sugar wasn't great, or you had high cholesterol, you had high cholesterol.
If I have the high blood, the high sugar or cholesterol, is that because I'm eating too much sugary stuff, or what is that? How would you reduce it?
High blood glucose in somebody who's not diabetic means that you're effectively becoming diabetic, but eating sugar doesn't give you diabetes.
Okay, right.
So if you are diabetic, you don't want to be eating sugar because that will mess you up. But if you're not diabetic, it's just total calorie intake. If you just have too much food, that'll increase that risk over time for some people. Again, yours is really boring because it was
so are we all good though?
So what we do with that, there's this little calculator. It's really interesting. This thing called Q risk. So there's this biobank in the UK. We've got hundreds of thousands of data points of all these healthy people in the UK, and they take it all together, and you can use it to create indicators of people's health. And this is what Q risk is. So Q risk, you can effectively type in someone's demographics, all their details, and I can give you a risk, a percentage risk of you having a cardiovascular problem in the next 10 years, like a heart attack or a stroke.
Have you done that?
I've done it, yeah.
Go on. So fucking hell. These next 10 years, Christ almighty.
So we can give you a prediction. So if it's higher than 10%, we definitely want to treat
I'd come in for a meeting.
Chat. Yeah. What do you think you came out as?
So the risk of me in the next 10 years is having a heart attack.
Or stroke. You know, I'm not being picky. You can pick someone
what else is on the list? Can I pick what one I want?
Let's just say cardiovascular disease of some form.
Ah, mate, I don't know. So is it quite high? That
I'm going to make you guess this one because it's more exciting.
80%.
God, if it was 80%, I'd be cutting the camera now. And we'll go off to A&E.
Yeah, no, I was being too humble there. Let's say, well, if I carry on the way I am, I've got no idea, bro.
2%.
Great.
Came out as 2.
Sound. So that means I can really go hard.
I'm really...
I'm joking.
Oh, God.
Yeah. He's giving me the green light. I'm joking, though. So does that, would you say my... carry on as you are with
the only thing that stops
what would you give me is like, you know, I'm not, you know, with, should you take more vitamins? Should I not be eating as many sweets or fizzy drinks, you know?
Look, I mean, obviously you'd cut the smoking.
Yeah, that's the one in it. That's the one I can't quit at the minute.
Why do you think you can't quit?
I guess maybe I haven't wanted to, but you know, I do. And I think in the past, I've done, what would you recommend for me to quit? Like, do you do the tablets, the patches? I've done times before I got hypnotized twice and it worked for a few months, you know? Yeah.
Is that an actual, I didn't know
it's a thing. Yeah. I went and you sit in this pod and you go under. The first time it worked for a few months. Then one time on my own accord, I quit for 9 months or something. Then, yeah.
I mean, the evidence around patches, tablets, these are just nicotine substitutes, right? So they will work for the craving, but the whole point we usually tell people is it only works when you want to do it. Otherwise, it just...
I know, and I feel like, the kind of person I am, it's like, you know, I am very all or nothing. So I feel... you know, the thing, the cutting, once I've had one, I'm having 5, 10, you know, it's like, it's just to do that, to not do that first one or to make it be, because I found I can't cut down because it's like, it's the same to me that,
I I mean, I wouldn't start vaping.
I've never done that, and I never would. I can't be. That's just pathetic.
I've always found like strawberry unicorn flavour vapors some weird,
I have a
weird
packet
thing.
of Haribo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
well, it's the same target audience, so I don't think.
I don't know really. What would you? I guess it's just will. Is it just will to do it?
Well, you've done it with alcohol, haven't you?
Yeah.
So it'd just be that next step. I think,
and I think sometimes when you're having breaks or you're not doing that I think that's been my vice. Yeah. Which is, it's probably worse than having the bloody alcohol and whatever. But I guess that's my excuse. So I just need to maybe get over that fucking hump.
I don't think vitamins are needed for you. You know, you don't. All your bloods are really good from a vitamin perspective. I think probably the way you're doing it is fine. If you try and stop every vice at once, you're not going to do it. You know, the healthier you get, we often find people enjoy being healthier. I think, and it's a positive feedback.
Yeah, and I think the road I've been on, it's sort of you get healthy, then it's like, right, let's fuck it all up. You know, so I guess, so if it, sorry, just speaking on, it's like so. But I think if it's maintained for a period of time, you'll be like, oh, I don't want to be gassing out after 2 rounds, you know, because you're smoking or whatever. So maybe I think it'll come.
There is also that thing of now, you know, when you're hitting 40,
true, mate,
you have, I think, a different perspective of what life is. You become a bit more aware of your own mortality.
You do, don't you?
When you're 20.
And you're not listening anyway.
No,
at 20.
Exactly.
You wouldn't probably be having this conversation. Or if you would, it's going in and out. Yeah. You know, isn't it? I think your mind is not sort of ready for that, should we say. So maybe you're right, mate. Maybe this is like, we're witnessing
I think if we just got you off the fags, you'd be pretty much good to go.
Would it be good to go?
Yeah. All right. If I take you back even younger than 20 then, didn't you, is this true you started on a saxophone?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
How was that working out?
In the and speaking, well, it started with the recorder.
Obviously, the best instrument.
It starts with the recorder in school, doesn't it? And then, you know, I think it come from the sax. My mum would always be playing like, she likes, you know, like the girl from Ipanema, the girl, da-dun-dun-dun-dun. And she really likes the saxophone. I think in school there's the option, the recorder, you know, you can do an instrument in school. And I think it was probably come from her to do the saxophone. So started that and, you know,
How old are you then?
Yeah, secondary school. What are you? 11 to, you know, and then I think it's probably started, I say 11, 12. And then my cousins were in a band called The Coral, or are in a band called The Coral, great band. They're a few years older than us. R. Ian's a singer, guitarist, and R. James, singer, guitarist. Ian's a drummer. So they would be a couple of years ahead of us, and you'd see them jamming in school and all that, and, you know, drums, rock and roll, guitar. And then my other cousin, Stephen, he had a guitar. And then I was playing the sax, and then I was like, God, the guitar's so fucking cool. You know, and we were, you know, fans of Oasis, The Verve, all that scene at that time. So one Christmas, my auntie got me the guitar and a little Spanish, like 3/4 length one. And that was it for me. You know, I sort of switched it up and or put my sort of time and effort into that because I found it was probably cooler, sexier, and it gave me probably a bit of confidence that I probably wasn't getting from the saxophone, to be honest.
Do you think the saxophone helped you?
It probably started maybe that thing of sort of learning something. And you know, I remember doing for the GCSE thing, I think I did do, it was either the Pink Panther or the Girl from Ipanema thing. And in my weird twisted world, I love all that shit. But I think, that probably did open the door of learning something that maybe isn't, should we say, academic, as in, you know, sort of learning about something you don't really have interest in or something. But that being something that I did have interest in. And I guess that was the start. Yeah, recorder. Maybe the recorder started this whole fucking journey, to be honest, mate. Maybe I'm going to eat them words back. But, you know, I think it's, you know, it's a funny thing, innit? But I think the guitar gave me that escapism, that dream-like mentality that I still have now, to be honest.
Have a suggestion for a Man Alive episode or thought about something said in this episode? Comment below, because I read every one. So thinking about music as you were growing up then, who do you think shaped your career? I don't know many famous saxophonists, but
no, you know, it would be, you know, we talked about it earlier, it would be Lennon. You know, I remember as a kid on TV, there was this documentary called Give Me Some Truth, and it's the making of the Imagine album. And it's just all footage of him in the house with Yoko, Phil Spector was producing it. George Harrison comes in, these great musicians, and they're, you know, he's working out the songs, and they recorded all the footage. It's a great watch, mate, if you're on that Beatles tips called Give Me Some Truth. And there's a song called Give Me Some Truth, and it's a real venom, angry sort of song that Lennon's ripping his vocal, and it's an having-it tune. And I remember, you know, watching that, and Oasis at There and Then. I got the VHS at that when they did their city gig at Main Road when I was about 10. And also, my mum loves Diana Ross, the Supremes, the Four Tops, Motown. That would always be playing in my mum's house, you know, and Dean Martin in my nan's. So all that stuff is what I love now, and I never grew out of it. And I think I've taken, and it's inspired me on all aspects of, you know, I do have that gnarly side when I'm singing, that I can have a bit of a chip on your shoulder and you've got a point to prove, whether it's to yourself or whoever. And then I've got like that, we talk, you know, I love the croonery side of sort of quite theatrical, like Scott Walker and Sinatra, and also like, you know, melancholy lyrics over sort of big orchestral sort of style songs, you know. To me, and I don't know if that's just because that's my world, but to me, it's all in the same world. And I think that's what I sort of navigate myself through. Some tunes I want to be more having it. And then, but I've got this sort of, I feel like a twat saying croonery side, but you think, you know what I mean, and more like whatever. So I think, you know, it's all there for me, you know. And I think on the albums, there's hints of both those things.
Can I ask, lots of us in our teen years had played instruments or thought we could be in bands. I'm not doing my story again, but lots of people thought they could be in it. What was different for you that made you think, actually, I'm good enough, or I can do that? I wasn't.
Jump? Yeah, because it was like, you know, and I think probably seeing my cousins do it because where we're from, and our family, there's no way, there's no in, you know, we didn't know anyone that was, you know, how do you get on there? You know, I think it started probably from my cousins in the Coral. Their mum and dad had a pub, you know, so they would sort of play in the pub. And then, you know, even going to gigs when I was a kid in Liverpool, you know, going to a pub to watch a band, or we'd go to open mic nights, you know, and even for me that, like doing the open mic nights when we were 15, 16, it was like, that to me was, I was at Wembley in my head, you know. And then there was a band called the Little Flames that were on this Delta Sonic label. They needed a guitarist. Two of my mates joined that band. It was kind of all luck, and we were, you know, just done your GCSEs, sort of blagged me way to go into sixth form for a year, and then wasn't feeling it. I started playing guitar, and, you know, not that good, but I just sort of forced myself basically into this band with my two mates and these other people to be a guitarist. I wasn't even singing then. I was too nervous. But that was where I learned my craft, and we just go in this practice room every day for a couple of years, and that's how I learned to play guitar, basically, write songs, and eventually become a singer.
I know we touched on the psychology of it all at the beginning, but do you think music and writing music for you is sort of a kind of therapy or expression for you?
It is. It always has been. And then I think, weirdly, I started, you know, I think therapies are great. Like psychotherapy is great for the mind, and probably is great for a lot of creatives. I think it's great for a lot of people in general, actually. But I think that sort of even has enhanced the writing. I think, you know, that escapism of sort of talking about, even in a professional sort of sense, I do feel lighter for it. And I think even when you feel good, doesn't mean you've got to go once a week or that. I think when you learn from it, you take what you do, then I think it's good to go and figure some shit out on your own, then you can have a check-in, because there's definitely, you can get reliant on it as well, because then that's another addiction, isn't it? Or it's like, I'm going to wait to, you know, I think which probably I've been a culprit of in my time. But again, it's this journey, innit? And I think it's good I like doing it if you're feeling good and you work through your shit, and maybe you can write some stuff down, and then you'll have a little check-in in a couple of months, maybe do a session, because I think it's good to do as well when you're feeling good.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a reassurance you need from an insecurity. I don't know. But for me, that's what I'm that's where I'm at with all that stuff. And yeah, I think I feel all right. I think at the minute, yeah.
Do you think you express your feelings and how you are at a point in life in your lyrics?
A lot of them are, yeah. I think there's undercurrents in there, subconscious, And, I just write about my feelings.
Well, it's funny you say that, because
Come on, pull some out
I've
for me.
been asked to read out. Bear in mind, my pronunciation won't be quite as catchy as when you're singing it. So, yeah, give us insight into some of what these mean.
Go on,
and
mate,
I'll see if it's accurate. I pray one day real soon that my prayers come true.
Yeah, well, I've forever been a daydreamer. And that started from school. That started from listening to your headphones and you'd be dreaming out the window and just listening to music. And it's something that's never left me. And I think that dream, I've been, you can set your bar too high sometimes as well. But I think having that goal is always, or something, there's always something you want to reach for. Or I felt like that.
Do you think you're more spiritual as you get older?
100, yeah, I think so.
In what way?
Being open to talking like this, I guess. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, not that, and probably if we're going back to sort of on that sort of therapy chatting and, little traits of, I think whether it is any religion, it is all, well, obviously it's spiritual. And I think that mindset of whatever you believe in, of sort of, whether you're going to church, whether you go on the Buddhist center, whatever, anything just to sort of, it's kind of a similar message, isn't it? And I've just that sort of reset and all the chaos and the temptations, I don't know, whatever it is that you believe in spiritually, I think it can just help navigate all that. And the thing of, I quite like having the blinkers on sometimes, and yeah. I think sometimes whether you learn that through a spirituality thing of taking that step back and, having a big breath, it is something that drives me forward. It's kind of really hard to explain, isn't it? But,
yeah, I mean,
there's little messages that, to as an example, I've talked about this a lot, but I was a massive Italian football fan as a kid, and I love Roberto Baggio. I wrote a song called Baggio on my last album about me as a child, as my childhood growing up. And cut the story short, he heard the song and invited me to his house. And he's a big Buddhist, Baggio. And it was having conversations to him, and he gave me this book about it. And a lot of sort of in psychotherapy, they use sort of, mindsets of Buddhism and stuff like that. And he was, when you hear about his journey, and he was down and out, got his crazy injury, was never going to play again. Someone gave him this book on Buddhism, and they would go and do a mantra and believe that they could do it. And it got him back to where, so that changed his life completely. And again, it's not about a thing or a thing. It's just that sort of, I guess it's blocking out the noise, isn't it? And maybe it doesn't always come true. I don't know, but I witnessed that as a first-hand example. And speaking to someone like that and the way you feel their energy, and if they touch you, not, to sound cheesy, like I put his hand on my heart and talking about life and belief, he believed in me or whatever he was saying. So something like that, I see it firsthand, and the story of creating something of a childhood, writing about someone that you've dreamt of, and then you're meeting them. I think that's something going on there as well. You know what I mean?
Was that the Baggio you're showing me the way to go when I was feeling lost and low?
There you go.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's good
that.
You said
exactly that. So, and that's what I'm saying. That sums it up, really, doesn't it?
Sunlight in the shadows. It's been getting hard to find. Nothing really matters when you crucify your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got a decent meaning to that one.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just like, that's an escapism, isn't it? You know, and you can use booze or substance to escape the reality of a situation you're in. It's a song about that again, and you know, I guess sunlight and shadows. It's a cool way of saying finding light in the dark. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of emotions of what I've just said on songs like that. And
let me do one more.
Go on,
This one I like. Wrapped up in our devices, but the apple's going to bite you back. It knows all of your vices. Lord, your mother had a heart attack. That's sweet.
It's cool, that, isn't it? Yeah, and again, that's like that, isn't it? You know, we're absorbed. The phone's a drug, isn't it? To be honest, the you know, the fucking. We were talking before. These, you know, you get bombarded with like things that you think may enhance your life. We were chatting jokingly about, you know, God, all right, I'm seeing a drink to make a ginger drink that's going to cure all my problems. And you think, you know, it's like, what the, you know, and it's so easy to get caught up in it all, isn't it? You know, like that this one recipe is going to cure my life, you know, and it's like, fuck off.
I don't get so much. I feel like, at least in my profession, I don't fall for that quite as much.
Well,
now.
you don't, but because you are a professional in it, so that's why.
That said, I might get the same thing that comes up and says, learn guitar in 8 minutes. And I'll be like, bang, I'm buying that. So,
well, then we can swap, can't we? Yeah. We should do each other an 8-minute class and see where we go.
Okay, yeah. Do you ever listen back to your music and like realize you've articulated something that was maybe, I don't know, like way more powerful than you first thought, or that people that struggle might be listening to it and think they can identify?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think probably, yeah, like some of those songs, like I Don't Forget Who You Are, those ones are those simple messages, I guess, that have, not that they're like worldwide big hits, but they've stood the test of time to the core fan base that we have, you know, and you know, recently when you're doing the promotion for this album that come out in October, and you do these, you play acoustic in the record stores and incentive for people to buy them, and you do the meet and greets and stuff, and to see, you know, young, old people saying about what these songs mean to them, and or whether it's new ones, old ones, and seeing a true emotion of whether they're getting upset, you know, in a nice way because it's like a relief, or what it's done to them personally. It is a beautiful thing to feel, and it's very powerful. And because I felt them things, you know what I mean? When you're writing it, when you're playing it, I get sent back to certain places in my head where on songs of different albums, you know, when you're performing them, and sometimes I can get emotional, you know what I mean, without sounding cheesy about it or sound like a twat. You know, I think lyrics and songs, it can hit you in a powerful way, you know. And you know, I'm honoured if others feel it as much as I do. So it's cool, mate, isn't it? Really.
I always feel really sorry for people that can't feel that connection with music.
Yeah, because some people just aren't interested in it, are they? Or they don't, you know, maybe they don't need that escapism, or maybe it's something else. But for me, it's such a prominent thing, you know. So
your image on social media may not be the same as a lot of influencers or younger people want to portray male masculinity and how it should be. You have a different image, and how you feel that image is portrayed.
But that image is just me. So I'm not doing it to, I mean, maybe I'm just doing it for myself. You know, I'm just doing it. That's what I'm into. I don't mean it to be like, this is the way to be a man. You know what I mean? I'm not giving it that. Or I think it's just, I've got many sort of
but maybe that
parts of your personality, haven't you? You know, and I think I'll probably show most of it, to be honest. Yeah. And I hope that's people relate to it, and maybe that, you know, it's hard for me to say that's right, or that's cool, or that's good. I guess you can decide on that.
Well, maybe it works because it is you, rather than you trying to be an image.
Yeah, because it's not like there's no game plan here. Maybe it can be. It can come across confident. It could probably come across sensitive. I've got, you know what I mean? I just try and whatever it is at the time, to be honest, mate.
What advice would you give to maybe younger men or men of a more middle age who've lost their mojo?
I lose my mojo. You know what I mean? You have those dips, don't you? You know, there's for me, I think we talked about it before. I think it's that structure thing, and even to be a creative, I think I like the structure of it because I can procrastinate so well. Do you know what I mean? Even though we work hard and stuff, I can dwindle away a day very easily, you know what I mean? And I think I like to have my little goals. And for me, that's that, whether it's getting up early to go to my gym, maybe put an hour aside to play the guitar. You know, when you're, say, not in the midst of doing things like this or gigging or writing or whatever. And it's hard to do that. So I'm just talking from my job specifically because it's so up and down. It's so all or nothing as well. You know what I mean? There isn't, but it's kind of weird, isn't it, I guess, because anyone that's like doing a 9 to 5 or whatever, I treat my job, even though it doesn't have to be like that, like a 9 to 5, whether that's just because of the root that's in me from my mum and dad as a, you know, hardworking people, that I carry that on into this life that I think other people that maybe aren't a singer, songwriter, whatever you call it, would think, oh, why would you want to do it like a 9 to 5? So it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying?
We could say regularity and
regularity. Yeah, routine. For me, it is even in a and that I feel like a lot of people don't think that is creative, but for me, it is.
And what if you're maybe struggling as a kid and you're thinking that guy seems pretty cool? Not me again.
Well, that was me. You know what I mean?
How would you say to them? Actually,
you know what?
This?
I think whatever it is, for me, it starts in you know, when I was a kid living in my mum's and in the bedroom, you know what I mean? And you were listening to music, you get obsessed, you're playing the guitar. For me, I'm just saying whatever it is that you're into is you just get, I think it starts from those daydreams in the bedroom, your mum's, you know, like you're obsessed, you always go back to it, you keep going back to your room to learn, you know. I think it starts from here. And for me, the thing that's just coming to me, Ed, is being, you know, and then my mum, when she would, after school, I'd go home and there would be a couple of hours before she'd come back from the market in Liverpool, and I'd listen to music loud and I'd be singing in the mirror. You know, may sound stupid and whatever, but that gave me fire and drive. And next thing you know, you're joining a band, then you are doing you're getting up doing an open mic night, not my night, just going to write your name down to get up. Then you're releasing a song, you know. So for me, it just starts with that. Yeah, being in your mind as a kid, you know what I mean, in the bedroom and learning your craft or dreaming of your craft.
So you've done looking through some pretty massive collaborations, haven't you, with some very famous people, Lana Del Rey, Noel Gallagher, Alex Turner. And then more recently, the Dan Auerbach, who is the Black Keys singer, and that's who produced this new album, Sunlight and Shadows, and released it on his label as well, Easy Eye. And I went to Nashville to do it, and it was incredible. It's a new relationship. I'm a big fan of his. I have been as a kid, but we only met last summer. This session, we reached out to see if he would be up for writing a tune, and he said yeah. And next minute, as soon as, you know, after day one, he was like, I want to produce this record. We hit it off, and it's been a great, enjoyable working relationship and really free flowing. And I think I've said this before, not to go back about the bloody bedroom in your mum, but it took me back to those things of, and he's a bit like me with that thing we're talking of, the regiment and the 9 to 5. And when I walked in the studio, there's just 2 notepads and 2 acoustics, and that old school thing of, we don't need loads of fucking shit. You just got to get what's out in here and write it down and do it on the acoustic. And from there, we can take it we can put the bells and whistles on it if we want, you know? And I think, there's no quick fix. And I think it's just simplicity is where I'm at with creating at the minute. What do you think some of the biggest things then that you take away from doing collaborations compared with your own music?
I think the respect and the love, I'll just talk about from what's happening right now with the one that's present in my mind. It's encouraging, isn't it? And I think I quite like a give and take. You know, a working relationship, it's any relationship, it takes two to tango. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like I want to hear what you think of, whether it's a song or, you know, or whatever, whoever you're working with, if you're having a chat like this. Or if I'm insecure about something, I'll be like, should we go A or B? And you go B, and I trust you, I'll go, right, let's go B. You know what I mean? And that's what I do on a working creative one. And I think that's the whole point. If you weren't open to that and learn and whatever's best for the song is what I'll do.
I think there's a lot of medical evidence around being, especially for men, because obviously men's mental health is massive at the minute, and working with other people, just being with other people is really good.
It's good. Yeah.
I think peak suicide rate for men is still 45. And mental health.
Because it's still, I mean, I've still got me, it is still like that, you know, it's like we are surrounded by, you know, we're probably always talking, or I feel like you're open to talking about your feelings as I am, but you know, it's hard for a lot of people as well, innit? You know, and they may not have the opportunities, or they may not have experienced things in life that make you open to sort of this, or a therapy, or having a mental, you know, how do we figure that out? You know, because our lives, and I think probably being down here and traveling, it opens that up. If you haven't had that, I understand, because that probably was what I'd be like as well. You know, it's hard to sort of to see that when you haven't seen it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what the answer is, and I think there's probably a stigma with a lot of those mental health things, and or the therapeutic thing. I was scared of it, and I remember in my 20s, I thought going to a therapist, fuck that, I don't need that. And then something changed around 30, and I was like, oh my God, wow, it's you know, it just helps, and you got to put the ego aside, and once you do that, there's a whole new fucking path to enjoy, you know.
So we've done your bloods, we've talked about your health, and some people do find that comfortable. I think yours was pretty safe.
Are we all right?
All right. Yeah. What are your hopes then for your health, maybe the next 10, 20, 30 years?
We know what's at top of the list, mate, isn't it? The cigs.
Yeah.
You know, that, and I think continuing, and I think maybe that journey of the keeping, let's not try and go away, you know, with health and stuff, and let's just kind of like, it'd be nice to sort of always be ready. You know what I mean? Let's not get ready for something, and just kind of always, if you're on a health one, do you know what I mean?
Do you think you'll be like the Stones and still performing in your 70s?
I would love it. I would love it, mate. You know what I mean? I'd pray to God for that. Yeah, I'd love that.
We often ask our guests, so what's one piece of advice that you would give to a man who's maybe watching or listening to this that they could do?
Well, hopefully they've learned everything from this and they don't need anything else. Well, and we covered all bases.
Just assuming that they haven't completely changed their lives now. Yeah. Is there one thing you would give to a guy to start being healthy, or that they could improve their life, they could just do now?
You know what? Now you're making me think like it'd be good to sort of, I don't know, have a
saxophone.
I don't know. I think it's like, what do you mean? Like, what if they're listening to this? Do you reckon? Hopefully, any waffle I've said, or that maybe there's a relatability to them, and maybe that will open up something, and maybe that they can go down the road of maybe what we've talked about, or they won't have a stigma on something that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Vulnerability is cool and powerful, I think, and maybe men should embrace it. I don't know.
I think there'd be enough people that could listen to this and then think, actually, maybe I could go speak to somebody about something.
You know,
that's enough.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean you're bad, you're wrong, and you may feel it's scary, but it's sound. It's no different than this, you know what I mean? I know we've got cameras here and it's a thing, but we're all just fucking breathing and trying to pay the rent, strip it all back. And, you know, yeah, that's what I think you described it well.
Brilliant. So if people wanted to follow you or they're interested in listening to your music, where should they go?
Instagram, a website, mileskane.com. I'm going out on tour right through February, March. We're out there, we're rocking and rolling, and hopefully, I'll see you soon.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been amazing.
Mate. Cheers, mate. I've loved it, man.
Cheers. Thank you. Do you have a mate who's going through a rough patch right now? Share this with them today, because one conversation can change a life.